Another video on scrap beef ragu. So I did this last year, but it wasn't that successful. So what I do is I buy, no actually I get them for free, I'm not going to lie. I get these lumps of fat for free from the butchers because I spend a lot of money at the butchers. So when I want to render some beef fat down to make beef stripping to cook potatoes in, or chips, roast potatoes, all that kind of stuff, I render my own fat down. It tastes much better. But you're left with this fat and these little bits of meat that you can kind of cut off it. So I cooked these last year in a bit of tomato just to see if we could turn them into a bit of a ragu, and it was just tough. So it's poor quality parts, cuts of meat. So last year I kind of thought, well, I still ate it, it was nice, but it was tough. So I thought this year what we'll do is we'll do it again, but we'll mince it and see how that turns out. So will I fry it up beforehand? Yeah, so we'll mince it and we'll fry it, and then we'll cook it in some tomato, some tin tomatoes, just some cheap ones, like that, just the bog standard ones, which most people will be horrified about using those, but I kind of think, you know, it's we're on a budget, aren't we? So so using cheaper tins of tomatoes is somewhere we can save a little bit of money. There's no doubt that using more expensive tomatoes that are better quality improves your dish, but we haven't always got that kind of money. So I'm going to use the fine mincer. So there's well, it's second hand, is this mincer that I bought. So there's a fine, a thick one, and then the fine one. So it isn't missing, it's missing the one that's in between, but I have got some other mincer attachments at work which will fit it. So we'll cut it up so so the mincer doesn't have to work as hard, and then we'll mince it, and then we'll fry it, and then we'll slowly braise it in some tomato while we're cooking something else. There's no point just cooking that by itself, but manageable bits for the mincer, and then we'll see how it turns out, and see if it turns out any tenderer than it did last time when I just left the bits whole like this. So, but it's got those kind of bits of sinew, which are nice when they break down. You know, it kind of gives lots of jelly and lots of flavour to them. That's a bit of animal hair, but anyway. So there we go. That's what we'll be doing. Right. So I fried this mince pre to cooking it slowly in some tomato, and lots of fat's come out of it. But I also put some extra fat into it because I'm mincing the fat, and you know, so I'm going to drain that fat off. But if we give it a taste now. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. So it's coloured enough. We'll drain that fat off, and then we'll slow braise that. It's not much meat, but we'll see how it turns out. So it's been cooking for a long time, low and slow. I've had the oven on, so let's give it a taste. It looks tender. It's not soft, so when I buy minced beef, it's normally just all the cheap cuts of meat and the trimmings that are just minced down, and it takes a long time to cook. Obviously if you buy better quality mince, it takes a short time to cook, but generally I cook mince for about 3 hours on a low, slow heat, and it becomes super soft. That's not super soft. It's tender, but it's not super soft, and it will have had 6 hours, something like that. So we can take the scrap bits of beef off the fat and when we're rendering things down, and it works, and we can get it tender. And there'll be more flavour in there because the tougher bits generally tend to be nicer, flavourful bits of meat. But it's just not. There's a bit of resistance to it, whereas other mince that I buy tends to go super soft. It's tender and it's soft, but it's just not super soft. But anyway, it works. And if we are going to use those bits of meat, if times get really tough, I decide I'm going to retire, I have to really cut back on the spending, then you can do things like that. You just have to mince it first. So, kind of a success. But we found something out. And generally that's what I'm aiming to do. I want to answer the questions that I've got, and there's generally lots of questions that you just can't find that information out. You've got to do it yourself. So, that's